Morning, everyone. Thank you. Wow, there's hundreds of you. This is great. It's lovely to be here to talk to you all this morning. I'm really excited that the thing I'm here to talk to you about is my team's newest piece of work, which we're calling People the Strongest Link. So I'm the lead for People-Centered Security for the NCSC. What does that mean? Well, it means I get to do fascinating research on what security works for human beings, or doesn't. And we bring it together with the rest of the cybersecurity research being done elsewhere in the NCSC and the wider profession. And that bit is really important. Security is a complex system. We need that multidisciplinary team approach with a full range of expertise on different subjects if we're to get to the right answers. These days, the NCSC is creating lots of diverse teams of people with different backgrounds and skills, because we recognise that only that diversity can bring the strength that we need to solve the really tough problems. But what does my own people-centred perspective really add to our understanding of organisational security? Well, when I first started looking at security this way, one thing became obvious to me very quickly. That's that until recently, we haven't put anything like enough emphasis into understanding how people function as elements of socio-technical security systems. We haven't really known how best to support people in doing their jobs so they can do their jobs as well as they can without security getting in the way. And as a result, we've been getting things wrong. We've been spending a lot of time trying to fix people. My own view on fixing people is, firstly, you can't fix people. Secondly, people don't actually need fixing. Now, this is not brand new thinking. I am not the first person who's ever had these ideas. There are some highly respected security experts, some of whom I'm happy to say are in the room today, who have been saying all of these things, in some cases for several years. But for a variety of reasons, the rest of us have been a bit slow to take it on board. As a result, I think many of our interactions with people in security have got stuck in a rather unhelpful place. For instance, organisations are still trying to train users never ever to fall for phishing emails, even though that's effectively impossible to do. And they're punishing them when they slip up. This makes no sense. For one thing, some fishes are just too good. This one, for instance. Right, I know you've all spotted it as a fish because it's up on a slide at a conference and you're being told it's a fish. Imagine it's just arrived in your inbox among 3 dozen other emails that look quite similar. You've got 15 minutes to get through this lot before you go to your next meeting. You're already thinking about the next meeting because it's going to be horrible. Can you honestly promise that you would spot that every time? No, nobody can. It's ludicrous. Another thing that makes this hard is that some fishes are specifically designed to evoke emotional responses. They want to panic us, to bounce us into reacting without thinking. If we try and train people not to react to that, well, training happens at a thinking level. It's very, very difficult to train people to think their way out of a situation where they aren't actually thinking to begin with. We also advise users to decide if they trust emails. Well, what does that even mean? Trust in security is a complicated topic. And how many users are really equipped with the right skills to read email headers and make a sensible decision about whether or not to trust the emails? Again, not many. For these and many other reasons, it is not possible to immunise all users against ever falling for any phishing attack. And punishing people for clicking bad links, it hurts them, it wastes time and money. Most importantly, it does not solve the problem. So how did we get to a place where at least some of us still think it's a good idea? Well, I think we got here because we've long believed that the best way to solve any user-facing security problem is to fix the users. Let's also look at passwords, my favourite topic, so you know. In our lives, at work and at home, we all have to manage loads of passwords still. And because not everyone is yet following the brilliant NCSC password guidance, in many cases we're still told that the passwords are supposed to be long and complex and random and all different from one another and all of that. So this is what that looks like for a few dozen different accounts, which is about the number that many of us have, with truly random, automatically generated passwords. Who can honestly say they can remember that lot? Because I can't. I know I can't. And how about now, where if you look closely, you'll notice some of the passwords are changing. Because, of course, we are forced to change lots of passwords regularly because we've always believed that this helps security. The only problem is that there is no evidence that regular password changing actually does help security. no evidence, and yet everybody does it. The one thing that we know regular password changing does accomplish is to make it even harder to remember all the passwords. This is what pushes us towards all the coping strategies that we all know so well. Shorter passwords, weaker passwords, more guessable passwords, passwords written on post-it notes, the same passwords used everywhere. Just like beating up users for falling for phishing emails, the overall strategy does not work. It's the wrong approach. It sets humans up to fail because it does not recognize or respect how human beings operate. I read something the other day that said this so well, I thought I'm nicking that, I'm having that for my slide, so I'll let you read it for yourself. That the thing that I really like about this is that it expresses the imbalance that I see in security at the moment. We do recognise that security involves bringing together different elements, such as people and technology. But because historically we've understood the technology a lot better than we've understood the people, we've kind of made the technology work the way we think it needs to work. And then we've expected people to do all the adjustment, like we've expected the people to come to the tech. I think, at least in some cases, we need to switch that round. We need to change that balance. So we change how the technology works so that it's closer to the way that people need to operate. This brings me to my key principle. Security has to work for people, because if security doesn't work for people, security does not work. So that's who I am, that's what I'm about, and this is why the NCSC has developed this new strand of work called People the Strongest Link. Now, I know at this point some of you are going to be thinking, hang on though, People the Strongest Link, how does that work? She's just been saying how people will always fall for phishing emails and can't remember passwords. And you know what, it's even worse than that. It's not just people making mistakes. Sometimes people deliberately break the rules, right? They deliberately go and do stuff that they know we as security people don't want them to do. What is all that about? How is that the strongest link? Okay, if you're thinking that, I do hear you. But again, this happens because we're taking the wrong approach. It's on us as security professionals to step back and realise why people do that, why people work around security restrictions that stop them getting their job done. It's because they really want to get their job done. You know, we don't actually want to change that, and the security is getting in the way. So this brings me on to, I think, the most important reason why I don't think we can ever get away with dismissing people as the weakest link in security. This is because actually, in a very important way, people are the only link in security. People are the only things we currently have that can bring together every single other element of the security system to create security that works as a whole. People are the only things we have that can navigate our technology, which is sometimes flaky, our processes, which can be cumbersome and unhelpful, our security policies, which can be long and impenetrable and sometimes apparently designed more as a stick to beat people with when they mess up, rather than as a tool to actively help them do things right. It is literally only people who can handle all of this, who can handle all this complexity and uncertainty and nuance and make business work anyway. And as security professionals, we need to recognise that. We need to deliver security that works for people, security that plays to people's strengths, security that enables them to reach their goals, security that understands and supports normal human behaviour, rather than blaming people for being human. If we aren't doing that, we are doing security wrong. Now, if you've been following all our activities over the past couple of years, as I'm sure you all have, you'll know that this approach isn't a sudden new direction for the NCSC in 2017. We've been moving things this way for quite a while, and we're seeing some really good results. If you came to this event last year, you'll remember that we talked quite a lot about the password guidance, which was fairly new at that time, and the great effect that we were already seeing that it having in practice, giving people who care about security the tools and the support to fight back against ineffective security practices in their workplaces. As the lead author of the password guidance, it's a source of huge personal pride to me that I helped to make that happen. This is moving things the right way. It's making the world a better place. That's what I want to do in security. That's why I'm here. But we have much further to go. The aim of our current work is to allow security to be viewed differently to those within it and those outside it, to work more creatively, to forge new relationships. This broadening of focus is supported by national academic research, some of which we've sponsored ourselves, for instance, within the Research Institute for the Science of Cybersecurity. Over the last 10 years, this research has consistently shown that for security controls to be effective, they must clearly link to the human security needs of individuals. So this is what we want to talk with you all about over the next couple of days. We have a whole conference track focused on people as the strongest link, and my awesome colleague Rachel has done a great job of pulling together loads of people who have interesting and thought-provoking things to say about this. We're also running a socio-technical security question and answer session on Twitter. That's tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So if you can't get to talk to us in person, please throw your questions at us online and make them as tricky as you like, because we love a challenge. I think collectively we have a way to go in people-centered security, but I think we are going to get there. The reason I think that is because I know that every single one of us here, in fact everyone who's working in security everywhere, wants the same thing. What we all want is security that works. And as the lead for people-centered security for the NCSC, I'm here to say to you one last time, the way to make security that works is to make security that works for people. Because security that doesn't work for people doesn't work.